Hey, it's Adam from Splendid Sports, back for another Mickey Mantle Monday. Big weekend for Mantle. As you, I'm sure, saw, the 1952 Topps SGC 9.5 broke the record for the most expensive piece of sports memorabilia ever sold publicly at $12.6 million. And this card you're looking at right here, this is a present that my nephew gave me last year for my birthday. Because we talked cards, and I told him I'll never probably own a 52 Topps Mickey Mantle, and he gave me this present, and he said, "You may never own one, but here is this one that I drew for you." He's a great artist, as you can see, and figured I'd show this one. Be a good time to show it. Not the card that's going to be featured today, but first I just wanted to give a couple thoughts. I saw some great YouTube videos, great content this weekend. Double D Dylan and we did a video together where we talked about the vintage sports card market and some thoughts and opinions on the future and what may happen. And we mentioned some people in it. John Mangini was one, and he made a really cool video where he gave his opinion, and I saw one from Blue Jacket 66, where he made a very well put together video. I love the different opinions. I mean, even in the comments, I was reading all the comments on people's videos, and I just love everyone giving their opinion. And what's great about it is it's all based on the love, regardless of what your opinion is one way or the other on what vintage cards are going to be worth in 20 years. Everyone loves the vintage cards, and that's what everyone has in common. So it's just fun. It's a fun conversation. I'm glad there's a lot going on with it. I enjoy watching it and talking about it myself. I did watch the video that Dylan and I did, and I realized that Dylan asked me, I think, twice, and I did a horrible job of answering his question. As far as my thoughts on, the future of vintage sports card pricing in respect to different grades. So, and that's a great question. Meaning there's two different markets. There's a high-end vintage market, and where you have the cards that are very rare and scarce, and you have cards that are in high grades, 8s and 9s, and even 10s in some cases. Versus the mid grades, the 1966 Willie Mays in a PSA 3 or 4 or 5, or even a PSA 1 or 2. So low to mid grades versus those high grades. And it's a great question, because I think it is two different things. At least my opinion on it is different forces are at play, where I personally think the high end vintage market is always going to go up over time. There'll be some volatility, there'll be ups and downs, but over time, no matter how far into the future you look, I think it's always going to go up in the long run, because it doesn't take a lot of people to cause that to go up. You just only need, a low number of really passionate and people who have money that are going to want to buy those in an auction. It really only takes two people in a given auction to drive a price up to a new record. So I think that's always going to go up. I think there's always going to be people that appreciate the history of baseball, the history of vintage sports cards, and they have money, a lot of money, and they're gonna want the rarest and the highest grades. That's always going to be the case, again, because it doesn't take a large number of people in the hobby for that to happen. However, on the other end of it, for the mass cards of vintage cards, so like, the vintage cards that are in grades of 3 and 4 and 5 and so on, even of the best players, that could go up too over time, and like it always has, but that's going to take a much more mass appeal type thing. It's going to, as the people who are now 40 and 50 and 60, over the next 20, 30 years, if those people leave the hobby in some form, the baton's going to have to be passed off. So yes, on one hand, you don't have the same forces as much, like John Mangini saying, people's dads teaching about Mickey Mantle and so forth. I don't think you'll have as high of a number of that being passed on as far as that nostalgia. There won't be the nostalgia as much because it's just another generation that went by where, our dads watched Mickey Mantle play. We didn't, but I think each generation, it might dwindle a little bit. But here's the thing. On the other end of it, what you got to realize too is there's new forces at play on the other end, which is social media, the internet, YouTube. So even if someone's dad doesn't tell his son about Mickey Mantle and develop that love and appreciation of the past, now a kid can go on YouTube and watch Dave Blue Jacket 66 or John Mangini or Rick Vintage Oddball Cards talk about these guys, and that can get passed on that way too. So that was not a force that was at play when I was a kid, right? So if your dad didn't tell you about these guys, chances are you might not have a great appreciation. But now it's not irrelevant, but I feel like with the internet and everyone being able to connect on YouTube, young kids, I've even seen some young kids that are collectors of vintage on YouTube. So there is, I don't know the answer on that end of it. I'm confident on the high-end stuff and the rare and the scarce forever. But I don't know either way on the other end. I just see both sides of it. I'm just glad people are talking about it. It's great. So anyway, every month I'll try to do a video and touch a little bit on that as I look at the vintage market. But for today, the card I'm going to show, it's a good theme for this week for me because I have another video coming out where I'm getting another submission back from SGC, I think either tomorrow or the next day. And if you caught my previous video from SGC, I graded a handful of relic cards with them, and was very happy the way they look and just the whole process. So I have another submission coming back, and again, it's mostly relic cards, and these, man, I gotta say, these are awesome too. I'll talk further about it on that video, but this is continuing with that theme. So today's card, Mickey Mantle Monday, is a relic card too. This here is, so first let me start, like 1997, I believe, was when the relic card was invented. I think it was by Upper Deck. And so this isn't a vintage card, but as a lover of vintage cards, this one still checks a box for me because it's a memorabilia card. It's a 2001 Upper Deck Pinstripe Exclusives Mickey Mantle jersey relic card. And it's although the grades, I mentioned this on my other relic video, but relic card grades aren't that important to me. But hey, I will take a Gem Mint 10, which is what this card is from PSA. So this is a beautiful card. As you can see, that it's got the jersey relic here with a pinstripe. This was in 2001, Upper Deck, they made a pair of 56 card sets that were inserted into hobby boxes of most of the Upper Deck baseball products that year. There was one 56 card set dedicated to Mantle, and there was another to Joe DiMaggio, because both players had signed exclusive rights to Upper Deck at the time. And they came in 3-card packs. So they were there. I just looked at the population of this, and now this card here is numbered to 100. This is the J3 in the set. There's like J2, I think there's 6 of them. So, and they're each numbered to 100. So this is number 84 to 100. But read this on the back here. I'll read it to you. Congratulations, you've received a game-used jersey trading card from the Upper Deck Company. On the front of this card is an authentic piece of game-used jersey worn by Mickey Mantle in an official MLB game. So that is, if you go back to, I think it's like the golden era of relic cards. You go back to the early 2000s, and I have a few more relic cards. But even if it's, Mickey Mantle's not your player, you can find many of the legends in some of these sets. They're hard to find because, again, this is a numbered card. They're hard to find, and there's not a lot in the PSA report. This is a Pop 1, believe it or not. This is the only Gem Mint 10 of this particular card. And there's also back cards in the set. So just in my opinion, awesome card, awesome set. And, you know, I love these. These to me, they feel like vintage cards. Even though it's from 2001, it has that feel with the jersey and the pinstripe where, to me, it's just as cool as a vintage card because of the memorabilia on it. And I love sports memorabilia too, so it's kind of like a combo in one. So yeah, if you look up the PSA pop report on this set, it's very low. So even though there, you know, conceivably 100 copies of this particular card out there, there's only been like 5 graded by PSA. There's been that 110. Again, there's other jersey cards, there's other back cards, but it really across the board, all the relic cards, you know, you might have 1 graded, 4 graded, 3 graded. There's very, very few of these ever graded. And, you know, partly it could be people don't always want to grade their relic cards because, again, I'm with them too, is the grade is not really that important. It's just an awesome card to look at. And I found personally that, you know, if you have friends that aren't into cards and you show them your cards, the ones that they seem, at least in my experience, the ones that they seem to really gravitate towards is the relic cards, memorabilia cards. You know, so they'll appreciate the other cards you show them, but even if they're not into cards, they think these are really cool. That's been my experience. And kids too. As when I show my nephew certain cards, the relic cards seem to resonate the most with them. Wow, that was really, you mean Mickey Mantle wore that? That was a piece of a jersey that he wore, or a piece of a bat. And just the thought of that, it's cool to me too, but yeah, I think it has even more mass appeal than standard cards. So I'm a big fan, especially, I mean, if you think of, you know, I don't buy these cards for the resale value or anything like that, but if you look at it from a store of value, I really see good potential for these type of cards. They're not vintage cards, but they are numbered cards, and they check certain boxes with vintage collectors. And they're of, you know, I don't know how many more Mantle jerseys are out there that they're going to cut up and put in cards, but any legend that is no longer living, that's not going to have any more things that they wear or use. So I think for me, what I look at is game used stuff. But if you look at what Panini's doing now, and you look on the back, where you saw on the back of this card where it guaranteed there was game worn, that you see messages now on the back of these relic cards where it'll say like the enclosed memorabilia is not from any specific game or event. And who knows what to even make of that, other than it's just a Dick's Sporting Goods jersey that was cut up and put into the card. Never worn, never used by the player in any game or anything like that. So I think going back to, 2001, 2002, 3, 4, there's some awesome relic cards of, Mantle, Ted Williams, Stan Musial, Willie Mays, Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio. I mean, all the legends. You go back and there are some really cool relic cards. And sometimes you might even be surprised at the prices. When you compare them to like vintage cards, a lot of these relic cards are a lot less expensive. Can be harder to find because there's less of them, but they don't usually command the same prices because they kind of fall in that for the vintage collectors who don't collect past a certain year. And then the modern collectors, maybe they don't care as much about Mickey Mantle. Or like, those type of players. So I think these can, who knows what the values of these will do in the future, but just as collectibles, I think they're some of the most collectible cards out there, at least for me. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.